Good morning. Let me start with today's class. We were discussing about in the last class we were discussing about data link layer, correct? So we stopped at a point discussing about three types of addresses. Just for a summary, we have seen three types of addresses: a unicast address, multicast address, and a broadcast address. Right? Unicast is basically it is destined only for one entity. Correct. So one-to-one communication. Multicast is one-to-many communications. Broadcast is many-to-many or one-to-all communications is also better, right? So that is what is types of addressing we saw in the last class. So now we'll discuss um, ARP. Okay, so this is one of the important topic ARP. ARP here is nothing but address resolution protocol. Okay, address resolution protocol. Now, why we need to go for address resolution protocol? What is the need? Okay, um, why we okay now why we need the address resolution protocol is see, we all know something called IP address, correct? Internet protocol address. And we know each and every particular host, correct? If I say host includes a router also, which we saw in the last class. Correct? The note indicates a router also. Okay. Suppose if any sender wants to send a datagram, okay, because here in this unit module we're talking only about the data link layer. We need to talk about that instead of message, we need to talk about the datagram. We need to talk about the frames. Clear. If a node wants to send a datagram, okay, to any other node which has been connected in a particular link, uh, it has to know the IP address of the receiving node. Correct? The IP address of the receiving node is required. So usually, how the flow happens is the O source, whatever the sender knows the IP address of the router, its default router. It sends the datagram to the router. Now the router will know its next path. So the next router, if there is next path is there, so the next router and the default router of the destination. From the default router, the message has been sent to the destination. That is all clear. But what is which is very much required here is a logical link address. Correct. The logical link address, which basically talks about the next path in the link. Correct. So next path in the link IP address of a next node is not very much helpful. Is not helpful in forwarding a frame. Correct. In sending a frame through a link, we need a link layer address. If you want to move from one node to the next node, we need a link node address. So the work of our ARP, that is address resolution protocol, is it links, correct, or it maps the IP address into a link layer address. Am I clear here? So what is the basic advantage? What is the basic goal of ARP? ARP is what? Address resolution protocol. It basically used to map the IP address to the link layer address. Map the IP address to the link layer address. Okay, so why this is required? Why this mapping is required? Because if you want to send a frame from one node to the another node in a link, IP address alone is not sufficient. You need to have a link layer addressing. Am I clear now? So in the previous class, we were discussing about this, right? We were having L1 and the IP address also, both we had. How will you get the link layer addressing? Link layer addressing is basically we got it from the ARP only. Am I clear now? Okay. So if you look at the picture here, it basically talks about, the layers, the protocol, TCP/IP protocol suite. In the TCP/IP protocol suite, the position of ARP. So this is a layer, this is a network layer in a TCP/IP protocol suite where we have other protocols like ICMP, IGMP. Okay. Along with this, we have internet protocol also, IP, correct? So this IP protocol, what it will do, it sends the IP address to the ARP. Now ARP will generate the link layer or map the link layer address from the IP address. Is this is clear? Okay. So I think now you have got an idea of what is ARP. Fine. So now we'll look at the operations of an ARP, how the ARP will work here. Okay, how the ARP will work here. If you look at the picture over here is in general how usually how host performs here is if you want to know the link layer addressing, if you want to know the link layer addressing, usually ARP will do what? It will create or it will generate a ARP request. Is am I clear? So every host, okay. So if say for example, if a sender wants to send the message, send the datagram to the destination, correct? You need to first have an ARP in order to map the what you can say the address, the internet address, that is IP internet protocol address with the internet address protocol with the link layer. Correct. So usually how we will do here is we need to send a request. Correct. So the host need to send a request called as ARP request. Correct. Or it is in terms of packet. So ARP request packet has to be sent from the sender, okay, from the sender, or you can also call it as a source. So this so if you look at these picture, it will be very much clear for you. So if there is a system A and system B, correct? So system A is a sender and this is a receiver, correct? So he wants to send some message or a packet to the system B. And now if you see the IP address of a system A here, which is given here is N1, which is represented with blue color, and N2 is the IP address of the destination B. Correct? N2 is the IP address. Now it need to send the packets to its data link layer in order to, because this is we are talking about network layer. So if you want to send the data to passes to the data link layer, how we need to do? We need to so we need to have a physical address. So physical address is what? It is a link layer addressing. So it is required. So it uses the ARP service by calling the ARP protocol to send a request. Am I clear? So the sender will do what? It generates a request. You call these request as a ARP request. This is a packet actually. It has been created. It has been generated by a ARP protocol, okay, because the system in this example the sender requests service from the ARP. So ARP protocol generates this request in terms of packets. This packet has to be sent across all other nodes in the network. So what it will do, so it will send the request. This has to be processed by each and every nodes in the network. So you can clearly, it has been clearly shown here, right? It's in the blue link here, blue line. So this request has been sent to the system B as well as it is been sent to the routers here. Even the router is going to process it, correct? So this is a request, how the request has been done here. So it is broadcast. So broadcast is what? Broadcast is nothing but one to all. This packet has been sent from one node to all other nodes. Am I clear now? So this is a request here is a broadcast. So the next one is the reply. It should, destination should reply back, correct? Acknowledge back by sending the link layer, by sending the link layer address. So here what it does, it says I am looking for the IP address. I am looking for a link layer address of a node whose IP address is N2. It don't know that that N2 is present here, so it sends for all other nodes which is present in the network. So now each and every will process, every node will process it. So this will process it. It says I am not the one I don't have an IP address N2, so it will just neglect this or drop this request. So now it will go here N3. Again it says N2, N3. I'm not N2. I'm not the one which is having an IP address N2, so it drops the request. So this is the one which is the correct node, so it will accept the request and it gives a reply back by saying yes, I am the node and my link layer. So I will send the link layer address. So link layer address for this particular is L2. So now if you see here, the reply will be, it is a direct one, correct? So it directly sends to the system A without sending that reply to the all other nodes, like routers, nodes instance router also, correct? So it will not send to the all other nodes. So that is why these symbols is not present here. Am I clear? So how ARP operation works here? So it is unicast. Unicast is what? One-to-one. It is a one-to-one communication. So it sends the link layer address directly from the system A to system B. Am I clear? So this is a ARP operation. So here what you need to understand as a summary, I am just rephrasing it. So as a summary, you just understand here the ARP operation, it is address resolution protocol operation. If a system, if a sender wants to send a message to the destination, it need to know its link layer address also. If it knows the IP address, it requests the ARP protocol to generate a ARP request packet. So the ARP request packet has been sent across the network. All the nodes receives the request packet and it will process it. If it is not the intended one, it will just neglect the that particular request. Otherwise, if it is the intended one, it gives a reply back by saying, yes, I am the one and this is my link layer IP address. Okay, so and this is a one-to-one communication, that is nothing but unicast, and it is broadcast, it is one to many, that you should remember. Am I clear till now? So this is the ARP operation. Fine, how ARP request happens, all those things. So the next concept is something like caching. Why this caching is required? So now you may have a question saying that if a system A can broadcast a frame to find a link layer address of a system B. So here in the previous one we saw, yes, it sends a request packet and it reaches a destination. Correct? Yes or no? So it reaches a destination. That is, the destination is B here. So why can't I send, instead of sending this request, why can't I send a datagram, that is a message alone, message instead of sending a request and getting a reply back? Correct? So why can't I send the datagram message alone instead of sending the requests every time? Yes, it is possible, but we're not saying no, but we need to think about the efficiency. So the answer for this question is we need to think about the efficiency. Say consider, consider you have 20 different systems which has been connected to a network where you have sender say A and destination say B, and along with these two we have 18 other systems which is connected in a network. Okay, so system A has a 10 datagrams, which means we know a message has been divided into various packets of frames, right? So it has 10 datagrams to send to a destination B in 1 second. It has to send these 10 datagrams to a destination. So now usually what happens, suppose if you say without ARP, I just keep forwarding the broadcast frames as well, only the message as well. And in the sense, broadcast frames in the sense, the datagram alone. Correct. Without a ARP, without using a ARP, a system, if it sends here in this, I'm talking about this without using ARP, if it sends all these 10 broadcast datagrams, how many systems are there in the network? Total 20 systems, except destination and the receiver, you have 18 different systems, other systems, like other than the sender and the receiver. So 18 into, so how many datagrams? 10 datagrams. So 18 systems will receive 10 data. All the 18 systems will receive 10 datagrams. So it will be around 18 into 10 will be around 180. So your 180 the datagram. So each it requires a processing and the discarding also, because the other systems are not the intended one. Only the system B is the intended one. Correct. So it keeps on discarding. So 180 broadcast frames is to be processed and it is to be discarded. Am I clear? Am I clear now? So without using ARP, 180 frames has to be processed and discarded. But with using ARP, only 18 frames is required because we already know what is the link layer addressing. So now I can directly send the frames, all the frames by passing it through all the other nodes present in the network. Am I clear here? So without using ARP, it requires 180 frames. With using ARP, it requires 18 frames. Okay. So this concept, you call it as a caching. Caching means what? You are am I clear? So that is what is your caching. So caching is what which is yes, it is actually the basic concept. Okay, am I clear? So what is this caching? Because your because the system A yeah, okay. Fine. So any doubts here? Fine. So why it has been called as caching? Why it has been called as caching? Because as I already told, the caching here because the system, we know system A sends a request, that is ARP request to system B. So all the 18 frames, all the 18 nodes in the network receives the request frame and receives the request frame, process it and discard it. Correct. The whenever the intended destination receives this particular packet, or the packet or datagram, it sends the link address, unicast. It sends a link address directly to the source, that is A. It sends the link address directly to the A. Correct, that is a sender. So now all the datagrams will be sent in a unicast fashion, that is in a one-to-one. So correct, something like this. So you have one sender here, you have one sender here, you have one receiver here. This is a sender, this is a receiver, and along with this you have 18 other various. So in case of yeah, without using ARP, what happens? It needs to send the datagram to everyone. So all these things receive 10 packets. So 10 into 18 will be around 180 packets. So then that should be reached to then only it reaches the destination. So this is in terms of without using ARP. With using ARP, what happens? So I have a source, I have a destination, and I have 18 other this one. In order to get the ARP what you can say, in order to get the link layer addressing, the ARP message or the request has been sent to all other 18 and then reaches and then along with the destination. Once the link layer addressing is got, it directly communicates with the source. So A and B will directly communicate. So it is unicast. So the remaining messages need, the 10 datagrams need not to be sent over this. Only the ARP requests should be sent across all the 18 nodes. So that is why only 18 for extra 18 frames is required here. Am I clear? Okay, so why this concept is caching? Because the sender caches the link, caches means temporarily store the link layer addressing. So that is why this concept is been named as caching. Am I clear here? Okay, so the next concept we will go here is ARP packet format. Okay, we know how the packet should look like. This is an ARP packet format. If you look at here, we have at the first you have something called hardware type, correct? It is of 16 bits. So hardware type here basically it indicates the type of the link layer protocol. That is why you can see here it is a type of a link layer protocol because we are dealing with hardware. Hardware is in the sense it can be the links, the wires, all those things. So it is a link layer protocol. Link layer protocol. Um, For example, for Ethernet, the hardware type is 1, represented with 1, something like this. Fine. So the next one is prototype. Protocol type. Protocol type is basically deals with network layer protocol. Okay, network layer protocol, for example, IPv4, IPv6, all those things are network layer protocol. So we usually deal with IPv4, right? So IPv4 is represented with different numbers. So these two indicates hardware protocol indicates protocol type indicates network layer protocol. This indicates a link layer protocol. This is fine? Okay. Next one is we know that the hardware protocol and the variable the hardware address and the protocol address is the variable length, which means it keeps on changing. So we need to know its particular length. Correct. So we need to have the the hardware length, the hardware address length, and the protocol address length. So that is required in the next layer here, and the operations, that is request and reply, represented with the 1 and 2. If you give 1 here, which indicates it is a request phase, otherwise it is a reply phase. We'll see with an example, then you will get a clear picture. So the next one is source hardware address. So what is the source hardware address? What is the destination hardware? The source protocol address, destination hardware address, and the destination protocol address. The address you're going to represent here. So in the request phase, this particular one will be empty one. Okay, this particular one will be empty. So this is also one of the important questions. Usually they will ask you to write the general syntax of ARPM in general, the ARP for packet format. So you need to write this. Okay, so now we'll see how this will work with an example. Okay, so if you see here, okay, so if you see here what happens, this is an example where I have a sender A and sender destination B, these two nodes. I want to exchange, I want to send a message. So what is the IP address of a system? It is N1. What is this link layer addressing? L1. Here it is L2 and N2 is IP address and L2 is a link layer address. Initially, the L2 is not known to a system A. It need to send request phase, correct? So what usually it will do, it will send the destination address as well as the source address, and this is a packet, ARP request packet. We saw this, right? The packet format. So this packet format has been something like this. That is a data. We know the data has been sent in a packet. So what was the first one? The hardware type. Hardware type for Ethernet, we told it is 1. It is represented here in terms of hexadecimal. So 0 hexadecimal value 0001. And a protocol type. Protocol type I already told we will use a IPv4. IPv4 is represented with these numbers. 0x08 clear. And hardware length and protocol length it has been given 6 or 4, something like this. And we were giving the operation. What are we doing here? Request. So if it is a request, give it with 1. Am I clear? So if it is a request, give it with a 1. And source hardware address. Source hardware address is what? Hardware address is nothing but link layer address. It is L1. And source or protocol address. Source protocol address is it's the IP address. So that is N1. Clear? Destination hardware address. So destination hardware address we don't know because it is not been known. We need to request it in order to get the destination hardware address. So that is what it is represented with all zeros. And destinations protocol address. Yes, we know the IP address of a destination, that is N2. So that is why here it is given as N2. Am I clear? So this is the packet format of a ERP. So the same thing we have represented here with an example. So each and everything we already discussed, correct? So this is the data which has been sent from A to B. Now we'll see what happens at the sender side. It should also send a message. So you will have a destination and you will have a source. It is a unicast framework. Correct? Unicast means send directly to the send directly to the sender. So here if you observe, again the same packet format, the same hardware protocol and the here hardware protocol and hardware type and the protocol type. Length also will remain same. But if you observe here, we are giving 2 because the reply is operation is reply now. So for a reply can be represented with 2. So that is why 2 is given instead of 1 here. So it is 0002. Fine. Now source will become the this system B will become source, right? So that is why L2 is the hardware address, and what is the protocol address? It is the N2. And now all zeros instead of all zeros. Yes, we already know the link layer address of the destination and the protocol address. So it is L1 and N2. So that is when this is been sent as a reply. Am I clear? So this is a ARP request phase and ARP reply phase. So both these are an example, correct? So you remember this general format and this can be represented in any way. And this is one is for Ethernet and this is for IPv4. Clear? And this one for a request and this two is for a reply. Fine. Okay. Next we'll see an example of a communication. How usually communication happens here. Here in this example, we have an Alice and Bob, correct? Both need to communicate. We have a point-to-point connection network here. So even this is a node, that is a router 1, router 2, this is a point-to-point. Now we'll see at each and every node how a communication happens. So R1 how the communication happens, R2 and this one. How the communication happens, we will see. So this is from the Alice computer how the packets flow. So all its respective IP address and the link layer address is already given here. So this here shows the, as I already told, flow of packets at the Alice computer. This is a network layer. For a network layer, we need to have the address of IP address of both the sender and the receiver. Correct? IP address of both the sender and the receiver. So NA and NB is the IP address of a sender and the receiver. That is Alice and Bob's. Along with this, you need to have a data. Am I clear? So this is what which has been sent to the network layer. It will go in the network layer. The router will go and check with the forwarding table. Okay, it will go and it will check with the forwarding table. The forwarding table, what does it do is in the forwarding table. Okay, so in the forwarding table, it will go check NB. What is it? So which is its the next address I need to go back. So yes, it says N1. From NB go to N1. Okay, so N1 it's nothing but IP address ARP of a router 1. So L1 is nothing but the a link layer address of a router. So send it across. So now what will be sent with the network layer? The datagram. Along with this, it also send the link layer address. Correct? So this is what this arrow is been shown here. Where did you get this L1 from? This has been generated from a ARP. That is address resolution protocol by mapping the IP address with the link address. So this datagram will be sent to the data link layer. Okay, the data link layer will use us the link layer address of a sender, that is LA. Correct. So LA is the link layer address of a sender, so that is being used here. So now along with these datagram, whatever you have sent, you're going to add or append both the link layer address of the sender, correct, as well as the next node. So LA is the link layer address of this particular sender, and L1 is the next node. The next node is the router here. So whose particular link layer addressing is the L1, it has been added. And this has been sent to the physical layer. Correct? This has been sent to the physical layer, which in turn converts the message into a signals and send it across. Am I clear here? So this is how a flow happens at the that is the sender, at the sender part. Okay. Now we'll see what is the activities which is happening at the router R1. So at the router R1, if you say again you have a network layer, it will go to the forwarding table and check its respective link node, link layer addressing. So it will get a link layer addressing as L3, which is present in the forwarding table. So it will get a L3 as a link layer addressing. Now if you see, we already know that at a particular router in any node, that if it is a router, you need to have two data link layer, correct? So only one network layer, but you need to have two data link layer. So that is why it is shown here two data link layer, because we are dealing with a router now, correct? So incoming packet in here, the incoming flow is same thing whatever we saw here, correct? The same thing, this datagram, the same thing we are representing here. So L1, LA, NA, NB, and this is the signal. It has been sent to the physical layer, which converts this into a data frame. This frame has been sent across the data link layer. The data link layer gets only these datagram and sent to the network layer. So this will be added. Now it will check now which is the next node I need to send it across this particular datagram. That is the application of a network layer. It go checks its routing table or a forwarding table. In a forwarding table, it says L3, correct? So now along with these datagram, L3 will be sent across. Okay, L3 will be sent across, and what is its respective incoming the source link address? It is L2 for this particular thing. It is L2. Correct. So L2 has been sent here. So instead of L1 and LA, now it is L3 and L2. But this datagram will remain as it is. Correct. So this data link layer creates a frame which has L3, L2 as a data link layer. Sorry, link layer address. So now it's been sent across a physical layer, correct? So a signal has been generated and it has been sent across a router 2. The next one is router 2. So next operation at the router 2, it is similar to this previous one. So here you have L3 and L2. Same thing has been sent across this router, and it will go till the network layer. Go check the forwarding table. In the forwarding table, if you look at here, the link layer addressing, the outgoing link layer addressing is LB, which has been sent across. The datagram, along with the datagram, you will send this. So now what is the incoming, that is the source one? It is L4. So L4 has been sent here. So instead of L3 and L2, now it is LB and L4. Okay, that is the link layer addressing of a destination B, that and the link layer address of router 2, that is incoming and outgoing here, both the source and the sender. And this is the IP address of a sender and the receiver that will be sent across. This frame will be sent across a physical layer which generates a message. Now these particular frame is sent across, and this is to be reached to the destination. So that is what we told, right? So LB and L4. So LB, L4, NA, NB, and the data. The same thing we are representing here. The network layer, it just neglects these two and gets only the datagram, and the datagram is sent across the network layer. So the network layer, it goes to the next, as it goes to the next layer in the TCP IP layers, the message will be sent across the Bob, the destination. Am I clear? So what did you understand here? At each and every node, you're going to do some processing at the data link layer. So how are we doing? We are adding the different link layers, one for the source and one for the destination link layer addressing. Correct? So am I clear till now? Okay. So this is at the router 1, router 2, and this is at the box. Fine. So this is all about the ARP. So we should know what is ARP and why we are using ARP, what is cache, and how to link or map the IP address to the link layer addressing. What is its importance? And we saw with an example. Correct. Fine. So next we will talk about something called services, that is data link. Okay, we talk about something called data link control services. So what is these data link control services? In the last class, I was talking about services which are provided by a data link layer. There, if you remember, we talked about frames, flow control, congestion control. In the last class, right? We were talking about these are the services of a data link layer. So now we'll go with some of the services of a data link layer in detail. So it provides two services, something like two functions, something like framing and flow control and error control. Fine. So we'll see what is this framing. Framing here is nothing but frames. You are separating, correct? You're dividing the messages. So separates a message from one source to the destination. Framing in a framing, we will add a sender address and the destination address also. Obviously, we know what is destination address. Destination is address is nothing but where the packet should go. Sender address is nothing but the recipient address. Correct. So that is what is a framing. So we already know what is frames and everything. Correct. So frame is what we are dividing the messages into various blocks and each and every into various blocks, and each and every block you will append it with source address and the destination address. So together you call it as a framing. The frame size here depends, or it may keeps varying. Sometimes it can be fixed one, sometimes it can be a variable length. Okay, so in a variable length, if it is a fixed length, it is of no problem. If it is a variable length, we need to have some procedure in order to identify which is the first, the beginning of one frame and the next frame. Because if it is a fixed length, we can say after 10 bits, yeah, next frame will start because it is a fixed length. Each and every frame will have 10 bits. So after 10 bits, the next frame will start. But in case of variable length, since we don't know the actual length of frames each and every time, we need to have one procedure on a way to identify what is the beginning and what is the end of the next frame. Okay. So how will you do this? This can be done by using two approaches. One is character oriented approach and the other one is bit oriented approach. Am I clear? One is character oriented approach, the other one is bit oriented approach. So we'll see what is character oriented approach here. Character oriented approach is nothing but you will add some characters. Okay, as a flag here, we already know that this is a frame. You will have an header, you will have a message, that is the data, and you will have a trailer. Trailer usually indicates, includes the extra message also as the destination address. So in case of